Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is Sea Fog, or HAEMOO, from 2014. This is a Korean film. This is the 88 Films Asia collection. These are one of the ones that aren't numbered. They do have a bunch that are numbered in the spine, and then they've also got a few that aren't numbered. This was produced and written by Bong Joo Ho, who you may have heard of, and directed by Shim Sung-bo, who co-wrote Memories of Murder for Bong Joo Ho. And it stars Kim Yoon-suk, who, again, if you've watched plenty of Korean films, you'll recognise him. He was in The Chaser and other things. It does feature other actors. The guy who plays the bosun you'll probably recognise from Korean films as well. This is based on a true story, so we go back to 1988, where we meet this fishing crew of kind of archetypal characters. You have the young kid, Dong-sik, you have the bosun, you have the old engineer, and you have a couple of kind of scumbaggy guys, and they come into port. The captain is played by Kim Yoon-suk, who goes back to see his wife having sex with a stranger. They're kind of down in their luck. The fishing industry is down in its luck, so because he's got bills to pay and he's under threat of losing his boat, he goes to a shady guy who gives him the job of bringing in immigrants from China, Korean Chinese, because this is becoming more of a successful industry than actually the fishing industry. So it does have, again with Bong Joo Ho stuff, it does have kind of socio-political points as well. So they set out to the coordinates. They think they're bringing in a few people, but obviously it turns out they're bringing in quite a lot more than 2 people, including 2 women, an older woman and a younger woman, Hong Nae, who Dong-sik takes a liking to, and obviously the 2 scumbags take a liking to as well, because as soon as they see a woman they just want to have sex with them. Their character's a little bit cartoony, to be honest. But Dong-sik takes Hong Nae to the engine room, which on these runs are a euphemism to they're going to have sex. Obviously Dong-sik doesn't really think that way. The older woman, again, there's characters of the immigrants who you feel have been on this trip before and then are probably caught, deported back, and they come back again. So there's a couple of more experienced ones. Again, so she's used to the idea of the engine room, or going to the engine room. But again, Hong Nae and Dong-sik are kind of naive and young, and they kind of fall for each other, and that's kind of the emotional core of the film. So needless to say, something goes badly wrong. You can probably guess what that is. And then it's how the crew and the captain deal with that. And that's pretty much the film. So again, it's a simple premise, but it's just wonderfully done. There's lots of humour. There's a wonderful play on, keeping a secret and being in the same boat. As somebody says, because we're literally in a boat. There is brutality in it. There are a few shocking moments. Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but it does have humour, but it also does have darkness to it, and it also has, when the sea fog of the title does descend on the ship and the crew, you do get a sense of Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. You feel like they've entered a different world, almost a different film it morphs into. It has surprises, it has shocks. The main plot point may be predictable, but what happens afterwards, how it happens, the nice touches involved. It has a very nice denouement of the film. It's just a wonderful little film. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but again, with Korean films, strangely enough, it's well acted, well directed, well made. Again, written by Bong Joo Ho, so it's a pretty good script. And again, the emotional core of the characters of Don Sik and Hong Mei make it well worth your time. Again, it's an 88 films release, so you should be able to pick up relatively cheaply. It has a nice feature all about Bong, which is an interview with Jean No, who's the Deputy East Asia Editor for Screen International, and she kind of gives a nice little background about how Bong Joo Ho started and his influence after he became successful, because it really goes into before the year 2000 or in the 90s, the idea of being a filmmaker in Korea was kind of not too much of a career choice. Obviously there was Korean filmmakers, but it wasn't really until Bong Joo Ho kind of broke through, because even Barking Dogs Don't Bite, his debut, didn't really do much, but then the Korean film industry has just went from strength to strength. So in actual fact, in Korea, it's pretty much a 50-50 share now between homemade Korean films and films from outside, which would have never happened like 20-30 years ago. So that's really quite interesting, and just how important a character Bong Joo Ho is in Korea. Obviously Kim Ji Woon and Park Chan Wook as well. They're kind of the three really big ones, but obviously Korean cinema now is producing arguably the best cinema in the world. So that's a really nice featurette to really give perspective about Bong Joo Ho's career. Yeah, I mean, Sea Fog, HAEMOO, really nice little film, but it is brutal in places. Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers. The review would obviously be a lot longer if I went into every little thing that happened, but I'm not going to do that because you kind of need to go into it as cold as possible. All I'll say, things happen. That's as far as I'll go. So thanks very much for watching this very short random review. Please let me know if you've seen Sea Fog and what you thought of it. Hopefully, if you haven't, that's piqued your interest to go out and buy it, because Kim Yoon-suk is fantastic as always as the captain. He starts off, he's a guy who lives for the sea, lives for his boat, and he does make choices that are difficult, but he has to make them, and you really get that before he perhaps goes a little bit too far. There's an underlying there's an underlying theme of corruption. At one point they're boarded by a fishing inspector who is expecting a bribe and gets a bribe. So again, Bong Joon Ho with these little political comments. Again, it's about an industry that's dying off, so they're kind of forced to do to make their money in other ways, and again the corruption that goes along with that, and all the backhanders that are involved. So even though it's a simple story, it's got really nice characterisation, apart from a couple of members of the crew that are a little bit cartoonish. But overall, a really nice little film from Korea. Strangely enough, how many times have we heard that? So thanks so much for watching. Again, leave your comments below. You can even like and subscribe to the channel if you like. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.